libertarian, and a Republican. Welcome to Publitarian Podcast.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, episode number 100. Yes, that's right. Thank you. Please, you are too kind. Hold your applause. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. This is Ronald Johnson, Publitarian, coming at you again with another episode of Publitarian Podcast. And we are indeed up to episode number 100. And in light of all the news that has happened this week, I usually do my podcast once a week-ish, and I'm doing a second one this week. And this one is going to be called, This Ain't the Way, Chief. And as I'm sure as everybody has heard now, Gina Carano, star of the Disney Plus series show The Mandalorian, has been canceled by cancel culture for the, quote, abhorrent tweet of saying this: Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Sad face. Because history is edited. Most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? I know, super controversial, right? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing the controversy there, but yeah. So she was let go over that tweet or Instagram post, I do believe. Yeah. And then, you know, the woke cancel culture mob came for her, and Disney Plus fired her, and she's gone now. And now cancel Disney Plus is trending on Twitter, and other people have taken to the Twitter streets and said, no, it was because of a breach of contract, and you know, you can't say certain things, yada yada. Okay, well, if that's the case, how come Mr. Morrissey, who's one of the Disney producers, was talking about kids in MAGA hats being marched into wood chippers, and even had a picture on his Twitter of red blood substance coming out of the back of a wood chipper? And also, if that's not the case, and you really do have standards and principles, how come Pedro Pascal, the actual star of The Mandalorian, the main character, compared Trump supporters to Nazis, using Nazi references, World War II Nazi references? And that's still up, and that's still okay. So your standards and your principles suck. You don't have any. This was just yet again an example of cancel culture, and I'm going to do something I normally don't do. I'm just going to put up a clip of Nicole Arbour, who's a famous comedian and Instagrammer, because she explains it way better than I ever could. So check out this clip. It's short.
What up? What up, everybody? We need to have a little chat about what happened today. Because feminists, you suck. You have failed. Feminism has failed as of today. When I heard that Gina, I believe her name is Gina, from The Mandalorian, was fired for tweets, I was just like, how? How does this happen? I saw thousands of women jumping in and being like, yeah, she should be fired. She tweeted that thing. Listen, pussy hat wearing mother truckers. We've said for years we want strong, independent women with values, with opinions, and then one comes along and is finally in Disney not wearing spandex showing her booty hole, and you guys are against her. You're against her. And why are you against her? Because she said, what did she say? This must have been absolutely awful. She told the fucking truth. That's all she did. She told the truth. She is correct. You know, it is absolutely wrong to judge someone, to try and hurt someone, to try and hurt someone's career based on their politics. In the exact same way that it would be bad to do that based on someone's religion. We don't discriminate against Muslims even though they wanted to stone a woman for reading. Apparently we're like, no, that's cool. We're good with that. We have to be cool with everybody. But we're going to throw a woman out of her career that she's worked her entire life to get to this point, to work on a giant Disney freaking Star Wars movie because she tweeted something you disagree with. Because she's like, well, maybe wearing masks hasn't been working. Because it hasn't. Like, none of the numbers changed after we started wearing masks. So where we're at right now in society, first of all, feminists, you suck. You suck. Slut walk people, where are you at? You were supposed to have her back. Everyone should be canceling Disney for canceling a woman for having an opinion. They don't have to have the same opinion as every other freaking woman in the world. We just have to be allowed to think, have thoughts, hypothesize, be real human beings, be fully 360-degree motherfucking women. That's the whole part of feminism. Let us stand up and have a voice. So, all y'all failed. That is aside. Now part 2. Let's just get right into this. We've gone stupid. Okay? And it's our fault. It's our fault. We let the stupids lead so long that now they are literally leading. We're like, yes, this makes absolutely no sense, but don't hurt anybody's feelings. We don't want to, oh, dear fat people, oh, we don't want to get, oh, that's wrong. No, I was right. I was right. We all knew I was right then. That was 4 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I believe. And that's when they tried to start the canceling, is then. I was like in the first wave of the cancellations. They tried to cancel people then. They're still trying to cancel people, but then when they cancel people and we're like, yo, canceling's not right, that's a little communist, and they're like, hey, don't compare things to communism that are directly comparable to communism. So I'm just going to break it down real quick. If you try to cancel someone, you're a shitty human being. You're a shitty human being. Everyone's allowed to make mistakes. Everyone's allowed to fuck up. People are allowed to have a different opinion than you. If, for some reason, you think they're not allowed to have a different opinion than you, that's because you're a pussy. There's no other way to say it. It's because you are so, like, your opinion is so weak and your arguments are so weak that you can't possibly freaking fathom that someone else is going to think something different than you. Cancel them. Get rid of it. And that's the shit that communism is based on. You're not allowed to think. And for us to pretend that it's not communism makes us as stupid as the people trying to tell us it's not communism. It's communist. Trying to lock people in their country because there's a bad cold and flu going around is communist. COVID-19 has killed a bunch of people. Fact. Cool, fact. Fact. The masks have not actually helped. If you look at the stats, is what it is. Instagram is no longer letting us discuss ideas. They've censored us. Also, on the communistic side. But the problem is that we're pussies. Conservatives. I'm talking to you guys. Conservatives and libertarians. Y'all are pussies. And I'm calling you out on it. Because if you would have stood up stronger, and I'm not talking like having your intellectual arguments online, I mean starting your own shit, then we wouldn't be in this situation. We wouldn't be here. If you pushed back harder 4 years ago and there's people like me and other comics and other people standing there just getting fucking pummeled by the press, if other people would have stood up and been like, I don't like where this is going. This is probably not good. We're going to start our own publications. We're going to start our own social media. We're going to do our own shit. We wouldn't be in this situation, but now we are. And you can't beat them on intellect because they don't have it. You can't. And that just reminded me of Ben Shapiro. By the way, Daily Wire, yeah, they're making their own feature films. And you can't cancel someone in that for being conservative because they are. The whole thing is whoever. They're not judging you based on who you might vote for or worship. They have Jews, they have Christians, they have everybody because that's what good people do. But now I'm going to challenge everybody who's not just like, I'm the far left fake woke motherfucker. Anybody who's not that, you need to make shit. The only way to be uncancelable is to make things. They can't break what they didn't make. So now you have to go make shit. Disney's going to cancel you for having an opinion. Time for us to make our own movies. Time for us to make our own TV shows. There's half of America and Canada, at least, who are just sick of this shit. At least half. That's a lot of millions of people. That's a lot of ad dollars. That's a lot of everything. So this is what we need to do. And I don't want to see your little sarcastic bitch fests back and forth with liberals. It doesn't do anything. You're just distracted. You need to go make shit. And if they won't let you play in their playground, first of all, why do you want to play in that playground? It smells like shit. Get out of that playground. You can't roll around with the pigs and not expect to come out smelling like them. Because you will. You will. Make your own shit. Make your own lanes. Be independent. Don't sign to a record label that's going to drop you if you say something that you shouldn't say, or they think you shouldn't say, or just don't even work with people who don't believe in forgiving people. Because we're all allowed to fuck up. And we pretend that we're like, hey, mental health matters, everybody. Use the hashtag mental health. But you're going to cancel someone for fucking up once. You want to wreck their whole life. Shut the fuck up. You hypocritical mother truckers. I see right through all this shit. And if you see through it too, do me a favor and make something. Just make it. Don't sign to a major label. Don't try and get signed to an agency if you're creative. Don't try and get jobs at these places that you know might fire you if you're a human. You know? Because that's freaking soulless work. Go make stuff. Stop wasting time on these stupid little fights. Feminists? Stand up for women. People are always like, Nicole, you're supposed to defend women. No, I don't defend all women. I defend women who have good ideas, who are smart, who are awesome. I'm not like, support all women. She wants to put 3 cocks in her ass and 1 in her mouth, and that's her job, and I should be like, yeah, go girl. No, because I know that you were likely sexually abused to be put in that position at this point. That's how sex trafficking works. You were probably, like, someone was part of sex trafficking, or they were abused as a child, which led them to be doing this for a living. I'm not going to cheer for it. I'll cheer for you as a human being to be your best. But I don't support all women. No. But I'm just ranting, obviously. I just want us to stop being so full of shit. If you're a feminist, have other girls' backs when they have an opinion on something. You don't even have to agree. And also, I just want to leave with this one more time. If you judge someone and want to punish them based on their political beliefs, you are equal to Nazis. Or anyone who would do the same based on their religious belief. It is identical. There's no fucking with the words anymore. You can't do it. I'm not stupid. So you can't pull the stupid stuff on me. And if you're not stupid too, then stop acting like it. Grow a pair. Stand up. Because, it's almost too late.
Okay, I lied. It wasn't short. But there it is. I mean, I couldn't have said this better in a 20-minute podcast than how she said it. Everyone is so offended by everything all the time. And then what's funny, a lot of times people that are offended aren't even of either the ethnic group or nationality that should be offended. The same thing with like the Redskins controversy happened. Well, we shouldn't say Redskins. We should have something else. Okay. And then they went and like asked actual Native Americans about this. And it was some low number, like 1 in 10 or something like that. Was like most of them saw it as like a badge of honor. They knew the history behind the Redskins name, the chief that the mascot was modeled after, yada yada. But anyway, now I'm on another subject because I was thinking about the Kansas City Chiefs, and Vince Dow had a blowback about that, and people being outraged about the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm getting myself off topic, but we gotta stop, people. I mean, but the episode I was going to call it "Compete, Defeat, but Don't Retreat," and instead that's why I'm calling it "This Ain't the Way, Chief." I mean, because we cannot go forward in a society like this. We continue to split further and further apart, and now the people over on the left are just like cannibalizing themselves, because if victimhood is the currency, there's going to be counterfeiters, and you have to keep producing that currency to find more victims if that's the newest currency. I got a story on that coming up at the end too. But what I was going to tell people in this episode, and it's apropos, is we need to compete and defeat, but not retreat. And the reason I say it like that is when I say we, I don't even mean just like Republican Christians. I just mean like people that think freely, think for themselves, like libertarians, right-leaning Democrats, just people that aren't crazy SJWs. Parallel economies are starting to be built. And now the problem we're having is, as we're building these parallel economies, we're still having to rely on these left-wing, either web hosts or financial institutions for backing and stability. And other podcasters like myself have been calling for a long time now. I know it sounds like crazy that we're in these times, but yes, we need our own banks. We need our own record labels. We need a way to not be canceled from society and create this parallel economy to where we can still get our ideas out on the table and let them be heard in the public square. Because you can't have just social media companies go, oh, well, no, you can't say that. Because if the goalpost keeps getting moved to what we can't say, then sooner or later, we're not going to be able to say everything, and everything is going to be offensive. And like I said, the whole SJW movement will end up imploding on itself, which I know you're thinking, well, Ronald, if it's going to implode on itself, why are we doing all this? Yeah, because it's going to wreak havoc and destruction for decades in its way while it does it, and we may not have anything left. But anybody that's just not a crazy, like, wokeist would be, like, welcome in this movement. It's imperative and encouraged to create these alternate platforms. And the reason I'm saying don't retreat at the end, as long as we're creating these platforms as a way of competing and defeating, not retreating. Because, like, retreating into your own little space never solves anything. That means you're ceding all of the ground, all of the victory to the other side, and you're retreating in the opposite direction. And we can't make that mistake. Western society, American society, and the world that we prop up with this engine is too important to let that be thrown away. If we retreat, we've already lost. So anyway, I'm hoping that Gina Carano, and I've encouraged a couple of conservative, or like I said, not even woke labels and production companies that I know to reach out, and you should too. And we need to start coming together, like forming our own media companies, and rather than talking about it, doing it. Because honestly, even though I'm stepping on my own toes here, the conservative sphere does not have a shortage of podcasters. We have plenty of talking heads out there that with plenty of opinions. The reason being, as I've said this before on my podcast, that we have a true diversity of thought on this side of the aisle. Everybody's got so many opinions that it's almost, detrimental to our movement. It's like herding cats. It's hard for us to come together. But myself and other podcasters have been talking about this, like to start uniting behind these causes and stop doing all of this weird infighting about what we think like pure conservatism, or being on the right is. So like I said, I'm stepping on my toes a little bit about that, but I'm doing my podcast because I enjoy doing it. And if I can make a difference, that's great. I would love to make a difference with my voice. But now we also need action. We need these things to be put into place and done, and not just be given lip service to. And I've reached out as well to conservative content creators, or people that aren't even on the left, because I'm a musician by trade. I do production engineering. And I said, hey, I can offer my services. And without even hearing what I've had to offer, I've had people tell me, oh, well, our budget's tight right now. And then I'll hear their music later, and they've literally just grabbed their music from like an online, I don't want to say liberal source because I don't know the company's leanings, but it definitely costs them more money than what I would have charged them. That's one of the flaws of conservatism. And one of the flaws is everybody kind of looks out for number one. I mean, if you're helping me meet my goals, that's great. If we're all marching towards liberty and freedom, that's great. But I'm going to still get my goal first. Like, that's one of the flaws. We have a hard time moving collectively against something. So I would challenge all of you to start supporting these media companies and start creating content. If you are a creator, if you are a musician, if you're an artist, if you're a movie star, actor, producer, director, it is imperative that we start creating this art. And listen to me closely. I'm not talking about creating just squeaky clean, right-wing Christian art and content. I mean, is that needed? Sure. People will consume that. But we need to culturally create stuff that is relevant, because people just don't want to listen to facts and data sometime. My great friend Vegan Patriot said famously on one of my podcast interviews with her that, yes, facts don't care about your feelings, but sometimes feelings don't care about your facts either. So if we do not start creating and beating back what's happening in this culture war and in this society, then we're done. We've lost. So I am challenging everybody that listens to this podcast that can create, that can do something to get out there and do it. We should be rallying behind Gina Carano. We should be like DMing her, sending her messages, being like, yes, you got this. And a lot of times what happens when we see people canceled, crazy Alex Jones, we go, well, that's just Alex Jones. And then Laura Loomer, well, that's just Laura Loomer. And Milo, that's just Milo. Gavin McInnes, well, that's just Gavin McInnes. And now here we are. Former President Trump, no longer on social media, canceled. A president canceled. And now they're emboldened, and it's going to keep happening. If we would have had these alternate platforms already in place and moving and viable, this wouldn't have been a problem. So now, unfortunately, yet again, we're playing defense, but we need to turn this defense into an offense. And speaking of President Trump, I'm sure everybody that listens to my podcast knows there's a quote-unquote impeachment trial going on. A few problems with that. One, it's not constitutional because the Constitution clearly states that this is for a president, a sitting president. Trump is not the sitting president. Another problem, constitutionally, the Chief Justice has to preside over the trial. It says shall, actually. The Chief Justice is not presiding over the trial. So this is basically just political theater.
Oh, yeah!
I just like that sound drop. It's my favorite. Nothing's going to happen. Trump's not going to be impeached. They just need this political theater to go, look at what we're doing. In the meantime, for any of my left-leaning friends that are listening, you should be asking yourselves, where's my stimulus check? I thought it was the dirty, horrible Mitch McConnell that's holding all this up. A lefty friend of mine was talking about how people were sending Venmo requests to Mitch McConnell, which I thought was pretty funny. But hey, guess what? Democrats control it all now, and you're still not getting it. And I hope it starts waking people up. Hey, I'm not here defending Mitch McConnell, by the way. I think he's a rhino piece of crap, and he's done former President Trump and our party a huge disservice, along with the other handful of rhinos, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, and all the Mitt Romneys and all the typical ones that say they're Republicans, and they're not. But anyway, so the impeachment trial is going on. Another little inconvenient truth, it's now been revealed that Trump offered 10,000 National Guard troops for the day of January 6th and was repeatedly turned down for his offer. And so the whole point of this trial is that Trump incited an insurrection. What kind of person plans and leads an insurrection and offers National Guard troops to protect the thing that he's rioting against? But of course, that's facts and data and logic. Liberals don't care about that. Orange man bad. He incited violence. Okay, did you guys listen to the entire speech? No, of course you didn't. You just heard some kind of out of context soundbite if you heard anything. So, just to do you guys a service, I thought I should at least check in on the impeachment trial sham and see how it's going. And sure enough, what's the first thing I see when I flip on the TV? Freaking Eric blow the ass out of the back of his pants Swalwell pontificating about what he thinks a tweet means. Never mind the fact that we don't have to read into anything from a tweet. We can actually listen to the president's words where he said peacefully and patriotically, let your voice be heard. If the mainstream media did their job, you know that Eric Swalwell took a lot of money from, worked closely with, and allegedly was banging a Chinese spy. Yeah, Fang Fang. Look her up. F-A-N-G, F-A-N-G. But anyway, while Swalwell was giving his arguments or making his case or making his opening statements, Trump's lawyer should have just went up there right when he was done and been like, I'm sorry, but nothing that Swalwell says or does is passing the smell test. But in further bizarro impeachment news, one of Trump's lawyers, Bruce Castor, gave one of the weirdest speeches and statements I've ever seen. So as far as showmanship and emotional manipulation goes, the Democrat side of the team outperformed, which I knew they would anyway. I mean, that's their wheelhouse. That's where they exist in like emotion land and narrative land. So that was no surprise. But this guy, Bruce Castor, was just all over the map, and I didn't even know what he was talking about. It was just, if you could find some sound clips of it, just look it up. It was really, I I don't know if he was trying to be folksy or what was going on there, but yeah, he didn't make a strong case. Anyway, like I said, the first lawyer should have just went up there and said, where's the Chief Justice? Oh, nowhere? Okay, well then I guess this isn't an impeachment trial. Okay, have a nice day, and then, deuces. Deuces. Harking back to Eric Swalwell again. And harkening back to my earlier piece about liberal cannibalism, welcome to Clown World, ladies and gentlemen. Ready for this news story. A gay father of mixed-race children was too white for the San Francisco School Board. That's right. Digest that for a minute. This is from Michael Ginsberg at the Daily Caller. A gay father was denied a spot on the San Francisco School Board's Parent Advisory Council due to his race during a February 9th meeting. Seth Brenzel was unanimously endorsed by the sitting members of the Parent Advisory Council for one of the council's 4 open seats. The Advisory Council specifically noted that it was lacking representation from LGBTQ plus families and those with experiences with foster youth. Brenzel and his husband are adoptive fathers. Before the school board even began considering Brenzel's appointment, however, Commissioner Matt Alexander expressed concern about, quote, creating a space that overrepresents white parents, end quote. This is public shaming. It's bullying behavior by people of power, leaders of our community. Seth is one of the most caring people I know, a community member in support of Brenzel said, according to the event's official transcript. Another supporter noted that Seth would be the only male on the pact. He would be the only LGBTQ member. He has a mixed-race child. Anyway, so there we are in Clown World. School Board Vice President Allison Collins was offended by the idea that Brenzel could advocate for mixed-race students. As a mixed-race person myself, I find it offensive when folks say that somebody is a parent of somebody who is a person of color as like a signifier that they are qualified to represent that community, she said. So there you have it, folks. More Clown World on display. And I wasn't able to talk about this because I recorded my podcast when all the Super Bowl Tom Brady news was coming out. I'm sure you guys have heard it by now, but I when I first saw this on Twitter, I thought this was just black people trolling white people, and we just weren't in on the joke. But I don't know, it seems like some people were serious about that. Some people were serious that Tom Brady, how dare he win the Super Bowl during Black History Month? Like I said, I thought it was a troll, and then I saw more and more tweets, more and more mob outrage, and I was like, holy shit, these people are serious. But anyway, I wasn't able to get to it, but some coronavirus unintentional humor from the left. Governor Ron DeSantis who's the governor of Florida, was seen maskless at the Super Bowl, and Tampa's mayor also said she was going to use surveillance to find people that weren't wearing masks. And what's funny about that is, of course, then there's pictures of her later not wearing a mask at the Super Bowl, and it's just more, rules for thee, not for me. And for whatever reason, I was like, she's got to be a Democrat, but because I do my own research, I was like, well, let me just give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she just cares about masks. So and that was before I found the, hypocrisy stuff from her. So I went and checked, even using Wikipedia, and yes, Tampa's mayor is indeed a Democrat. Tampa's mayors mostly have been Democrat. And then some ironic, tragic humor. I go all the way back where Tampa was started, and it was started by the White Municipal Party, which was a Democrat party from 1910 until 1947. So that's right. Tampa, Florida, always had Democrat mayors, and it was originally started as a white municipal party city. That was an offshoot of the Democrat Party that really liked their white nationalism. So there you go. That's always an inconvenient truth that gets blown by the wayside, that the Democrat Party actually started the KKK and these a lot of these white separatist movements. And somewhere in the 20th century, they became a quote-unquote right-wing thing. So anyway, I also saw calls on Twitter, still speaking of Tom Brady, how Serena Williams is the greatest athlete, not Tom Brady. And like I said, again, I thought it was trolling. And then the more I looked at it, the more I said, oh, no, these people are serious. And, here we go with the battle of the sexes again. The inconvenient truth about that, by the way, is that a man actually did beat both Williams' sisters back-to-back at tennis handily, and he didn't even prep for the matches at all. And before any women bring up Billie Jean King versus Riggs, I mean, he was 55 and in poor health. I mean, so yes, a woman has beat a man at tennis, but anyway, I didn't want to get into a battle of the sexist thing, particularly on my show. I thought that was weird, like all of the outrage against just a guy for winning the Super Bowl, for being a good athlete, and then automatically needing to draw some kind of comparison between races or sexes. I don't understand it. If somebody's good, somebody's good. Like, Michael Jordan's good in the 90s. I don't need the white equivalent of Michael Jordan to make myself feel better or validate myself. But anyway, I think that will do it on this edition of Publitarian Podcast. For my new listeners, thank you for listening. My listenership keeps going up. The podcasts are usually 20 minutes. This one looks like it's going to be a 30-minute one, but hey, it's my 100th episode. I should be able to talk and celebrate a little bit. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. If you want to reach out to me, you can. I'm publitarian@protonmail.com, and I'm on Gab and Minds and all the other social medias. Be sure to listen and subscribe. If you just found this through the link in one of my profiles, you can always find me on iTunes or Spotify or iHeartRadio, and just be sure to click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.
You've been listening to Publitarian Podcast. Copyright 2021.